the crush. I know there's so many people here. I'm so sorry.
It's
so
all right.
It's so crowded. Right, so for people who have not seen the show before, kind of talk about how you got involved and what you do on the show.
I'm the executive producer and director, and I wrote some of it. And Riki and Natasha approached me a couple years ago with this concept, and I fell in love with it. And then I've done historical comedy before. It somehow has become my niche. If you like fake mustaches, come to me. So,
but he's funny, but he's being self-deprecating. It's a beautiful show, and he was very specific about what he wanted to shoot and show. You were using a fog machine, but you knew precisely how long to turn it on and then turn it off before we would shoot. I mean, he shoots a beautiful historical image.
I'm very pleased.
That's why everyone wants you.
But yeah, so we shot this little presentation that they funded, and then we were able to use that to sell it.
Yes, I'm going to give you super sex.
But you know what? I don't even know if I should say this. Probably shouldn't. But when we took it out twice. When we took it out the first time, people were like, very female-driven comedy. It's not real big right now, People were kind of rude about it. And then when we took it out 1 year later, everybody was so excited about female-driven comedy.
When was that?
Weird.
What was the change, do you think? Was it Amy Poehler and Tina Fey?
Amy Poehler, Tina Fey. I mean, it's just the whole. I think it's the right move. I'm very happy about it.
You're a pioneer.
I am not a pioneer. I'm not saying I am a pioneer. I'm saying we're just riding that beautiful wave.
So why is it important to have a female-driven comedy?
I mean, is this a female-driven? I guess it is.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's because Riki and Natasha got together in the first place, saying, "Hey, we should write something for ourselves. We can't, we don't want to sit back and we're too smart women. We have ideas. We can come up with something," and they did. And there are a lot of female characters, and they're not just a girlfriend or they're developed, which doesn't leave the men lacking for character either. I mean, it is female-driven in the sense that two women came up with the idea and came to you and said, "Hey, join us and let's realize this thing together." But it's given a lot of parts to a lot of female actors who want to do comedy, the landscape has changed in the last couple of years, and it might have been Bridesmaids, it might have been, I don't know all of the things. It's interesting that you found that people didn't want it, and then the next year they wanted female, which is great for us, ladies. I mean, I hope people keep wanting it.
I read a review the other day about our second episode where they were saying that they thought we dealt with the whole ravishing stuff very well, and they were very happy about it, but they weren't sure if it was quite up to the standard of Comedy Central's, like the way that Comedy Central deals with gender issues currently with like Amy Schumer and Broad City. I was like, wow, that's an amazing criticism. Comedy Central is the pinnacle of like amazing female comedy right now. There are such great.
The Man Show was on.
Yeah, right. That was a real.
That was a thing that happened. That was
our producer Debbie Liebling produced that show. We've joked about it many times with her.
What can...
Oh, no, sorry, she didn't produce that show. She was an executive at Comedy Central when that show was...
what can people who've never seen it or are familiar with the show expect from it at a period?
It is originally started out the idea that these guys came up with, Riki and Natasha came up with... Let me start that again. The idea that Riki and Natasha came up with was a mashup, essentially, between the Kardashians, sort of this powerful, wealthy family that are maybe not the greatest people on earth, mixed with Downton Abbey. So there's an upstairs, downstairs, who are the servants and who is the family. And it is the most beautiful looking, filthy show that's ever been made. I mean, you can't. It is. There's feces and ravishings and children being knocked out so they won't make more noise. And I mean, these people do disgusting things, but it looks gorgeous. So I can't think of anything I've seen that is like this show. Can you think of it?
No, I'm very, very pleased with it. I think no one's ever quite done this before.
It's gorgeous film. I actually was offended by a couple of things in the script, and I thought people are going to hate this. Procreation sex? There's a scene where these wealthy girls are having procreation sex with their husbands, but their husbands are gay. So one husband masturbates and then flaps it in at the end. And when we did that table read, I was like, oh my God, you can't do this. We can't shoot this. Jeez Louise. And my character shoots down a bald eagle with a blow dart. Like, we're horrible people.
You're the worst.
And that's why we love it.
And I love it.
So do you think that you are afforded a little bit more leadway by doing this as a period piece than you would if this sort of people existed at this current time?
Well, I think what's really interesting about the idea itself is a lot of the storylines in this show seem as though they've been written just for comedy, but they're actually based on things that happened historically. So you see these girls, these wealthy young girls going, look, we don't want to vote. Why are you trying to give women the vote? We're busy and we're stupid. And women were raised to believe that. Why would we want to bother with that? That's not our business. So it's funny because we've come so far, thank God. So that to me is what's interesting about the show, is that it's looking back at what we were as a society and what the servant class went through and thought was normal and acceptable, and this is their lives. It's absurd to us now, but that's how people live.
Yeah, people were real shitty 100 years ago.
So how historically accurate is it? Like, the costume sets, I know some stories are based on history, but how the other aspects, how accurate is the story?
We have incredible teams working on everything. I would say everything is pretty much historically accurate, except that we chilled out on the corsets a little bit because they are actually so uncomfortable that
you can't breathe, it just is not possible. So we didn't. We a lot of us had dresses that had boning in it, but that's there's forms of Spanx that have boning in it. You can live with that. But yeah, that was too much. The house itself was actually built in 1922, but the inside, we have a separate house that's the outside that you found. That was a real Newport mansion?
No, it's in Pasadena, but it looks
wow.
It looks much more like a Newport mansion than the one that we actually filmed at.
But props and wardrobe were very diligent and excited and worked really hard to make sure we had things. And they built an iron lung. They were building things.
They're ready
can't
to
rent from a prop house because they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're ready to win the Oscar or the Emmy for this stuff. And we were like, yeah, sure, if you guys want to do that, that's great. So we went along.
Obviously it's scripted, but how much improv are you kind of allowed to do?
Go ahead.
We did a lot of alts, more than improv. Sometimes we would improvise.
I'm going to say what that is.
But yeah, say what that is.
An alternative line. So we would shoot the scene the way it was written, and Jeremy would run in and be like, okay, here's an alt. In case we can't get away with this, what about this joke? So say this, or a different name. Or he would run in and just give us a new line. There wasn't a lot of improv because we were really happy with the scripts that we had, and we were all excited that we got to say the lines as written, and these guys worked their asses off to create 10 episodes at once.
Hey, all right.